Hello, welcome to my second rapid game of the day. I will be playing the Alapin again until I get sick of it. Sorry, Max. So black actually has quite a few responses, but none of them are that good except, I think, d5 and knight f6 and e5. e5 I think is definitely underrated. Has the draw off a button always been that large? f6 here is possible, and then queen a4 check. e6 so early is slightly unusual. I think in this case I like d4, as once this bishop can't come here to be annoying, it's more comfortable to play with the pawn. I think an early captures probably is comfortable for me. I can make the choice as to whether to take on the isolated pawn or not. I think in this case I would like to do so and just develop up. If bishop b4, I would just play bishop d3 and castle. Taking back with the knight and queen are of course possible, but I feel like c takes e4 would be more ambitious. So c takes d4, knight f6, knight c3, bishop e4, bishop d3, castles, castles, takes. I think gives me a nice position. No worries about this because black has already committed to e6. This is probably some kind of Panov transposition. Knight c3. Black can also just drop the queen back, I think is a perfectly fine option. And this is the scary diagonal, so I'll develop my bishop there. And of course I'm relying on these kind of tricks to defend this pawn, but the bishop can drop back to c2 or b1 to re-protect the pawn. Now that black has Played queen d8, bishop b4 makes less sense. So I think we'll see bishop b7. Bishop d6 stops watching over the pawn in front of the isolated, the IQP. So I think bishop b7 more likely, then I castle. Castle. I suppose bishop g5 is a natural move. Maybe knight e5 is a bit more. I feel like I don't want to commit with this bishop too soon, although I think bishop d5, g5, knight b to d7 is, I think, slightly annoying. Let's castle first. I can, of course, do the classic bishop c2, queen d3, which I don't think anyone would be surprised by. It's still a good plan, though, I promise. Knight e5 is slightly interesting, but it's met by just knight b to d7. Queen e2, I think, is probably a slower version of just bishop c2, queen d3. I think I can play bishop g5. I can also not play bishop g5. I don't think there's a rush to play it. Whereas I think rook e1 is always a more helpful move. So I think I will start with rook e1. And then I assume my opponent will choose between one of these two. I suppose b6 is a possibility for white, but I don't quite trust it. Okay, so my opponent does go for that. So now I have to give some reason that this is bad. It does seek to control the d5 square again, of course. I suppose the question is, what happens if I play d5? d5, e takes d5, knight takes, knight takes. Relying on this x-ray? Is that an x-ray? No, the pin, the pin. Much simpler name. d5, e takes d5, knight takes d5, knight takes d5, queen takes d5. I think I'm giving up too many pieces in order to play the tactic. Actually, no, the number of pieces is equal. So d5, e takes d5, knight takes, so d5, if bishop b7, I just take on e6 with a good position. So d5, they have to play e takes d5, I think. And then I think I do have to play knight takes d5, and then black has two options, to take with the knight or take with the queen. Suppose that they take with the queen. And then bishop takes h7 check. I suppose just king takes h7. And once I take the queen on d5, they can just recapture with the knight, and that's not working. Okay, well, I could just try the typical bishop c2, queen d3. Just increasing my control over d5. This might be worth a consideration. Knight e4, I think it does help black to trade pieces, which I'm not so keen on with the isolated pawn, and can also be dismissed by knight d5, which is more annoying. So let's drop the bishop back.
The rest of the things, is that right?
That goes for this. I think queen d3 is reasonable. Tying this knight down. Bishop g5, knight b to d7. d5. So this threatens this rather annoying fork. But now this knight is not connected with this one, and d5 has become stronger. So I'm quite happy with this. I'll just play e3. And now bishop g5 comes with more of a threat. Okay, let's ask how black wants to develop next. Queen d7 looks reasonable. I suppose I must ask, can I play d5? E takes d5, knight takes d5, queen takes d5. So in this case, no. So let's play bishop g5, threatening to remove this. I think g6 is likely. And then I can play rook d1. I think better to not overcomplicate things. And of course, the structure with g6 and e6 is slightly awkward, as well as the bishop being on e7 as opposed to g7. Okay, rook c8. This looks reasonable. I think just undefend this once, defend it still. Let's consider knight e4, which threatens, check, and checkmate. And the problem is it does take extra few moves. I'm in the line of this. I suppose knight e5 after that is possible. But it'd be black's turn to move. Knight e5, knight c4. Actually, that might be one of black's ideas at the moment. But once knight e5 happens, knight e5. And then I would start being nervous as black. Okay, let's threaten to threaten. Well, threaten to do this. I assume g6. And now I should give some consideration to d5 again, as I've said many times. Or bishop takes f6, followed by d5. I think is okay, but not that strong in this case. And so let's just play rook d1. Taking followed by knight e4, the bishop will just drop back to g7. Bishop h6, of course, is a possible place this bishop can go, forcing the rook to come here. So if a knight lands here, it's definitely considering some sacrifices. This bishop might now go back to b3 to apply pressure along this diagonal. Though, of course, if knight a5, I wouldn't do that because it would hang a piece. I will probably try to arrange a sacrifice on this square. I think this is probably the least useful piece at this very moment. And on b3, it can hide away from a knight. Oh, okay. So, we get a trade, maybe. Or bishop h6, rook e8, knight to e4. a lot of options, but the one with fewer trades, I guess, seems most natural to me. Knight b4 is then a threat though, because takes with a knight, attacking queen and bishop. If I take here, I suppose this is an in-between move, but not a good one. Oops, shouldn't accidentally highlight this. I think bishop h6 is most natural. And then black would have to try and play bishop f8. I think getting so low on time, I'll just follow my principles of not trading with the IQP. And then now 95. We can trade. Bishop b3. Let's have a look at stepping out of this. And then I suppose preparing knight e4. Now I suppose I threaten to take here, and then if black takes back with a pawn, then I just have better pieces. Apologies about the clock. If takes, I think I just take back. This opens up the bishop to capture. But okay, so now knight e5 becomes a possibility. Of course, knight is currently attacking here. Let's not directly trade. Black can go to win this pawn on a3, but as you can tell, I think the whole idea is maybe a bit laughable. I think just bishop a2. And takes. This is so greedy. I'm going to play knight e5, and you're going to suffer an accident. I'm sure of it. Or perhaps this is perfect defense, and I've misplayed somewhere. But I suppose I just have faith in my moves and my position. In this case, at least. So if I get a knight to e5, am I threatening to immediately take on f7? Check. Sorry, and then check. Although this would be covered by this. So perhaps I bring the queen to... Queen is surprisingly hard to move somewhere. I have to take back with the pawn. She'll go ahead. Actually, then knight g5, maybe. Rook e3 as a rook lift becomes much more a possibility. I think knight e5 and then bring this queen over is quite reasonable. Knight e5 also controlling c4 again. Maybe knight e5 followed by a rook lift. I think I just like the idea of knight e5 in general over knight g5. Taking here is slightly appealing, but not as much. Bishop g5 is just met by bishop e7, and I lose progress. Okay, knight to e5. Queen d5 not being possible because of this. I suppose bishop d5 possible, but then c4. So maybe rook e3 is the better way to start. I suppose c4 and then d5 is an idea to get my queen over to f3, but that's a bit too odd for me, I guess. Okay, we get a rather direct attack on this square, while also defending. I think this is a good move for my opponent. So let's consider knight takes g6, of course. Knight takes g6, f takes g6. The other option is just rook e3, and that still makes sense in this context. I didn't see anything clear after taking on g6, so I will just play rook e3, redefending the pawn. Okay, so knight g6, f takes, I take with the bishop. This looks scary, but I'm not sure that's enough. I could also take with the rook, threatening to then take here. The problem for me is that I suppose this king can hide here, although I have the other rook to left. Take on f7 doesn't work because the d5 not working. h4, h5 then. If my opponent doesn't generate some other kind of counterplay. Okay. Now I consider okay, just takes rook f8. I think is pleasant for my opponent. Knight takes g6. They just take the bishop on h6. And bishop f4. Threatening. Knight g6. Is there a better square for the queen? That seems obvious. No. So let's play bishop f4. Just with tempo, and then I think just start with this. My opponent, for some reason, is trying not to get checkmated. Which is awfully uncooperative of them. Okay. And this now stops me from playing h4. I think I like rook g3, just pressuring this square. Preparing this, I suppose. f6 is not going to work. Good defense. Let's consider bishop g5. Bishop g5, f6. Bishop g5, the queen moves. It's not nice for me. Let's think about now d5. d5, e takes d5, knight takes f7. My time is annoyingly low. Okay, let's try to push for c4, d5. Knight c6. This is a move that makes sense. Knight takes f7, king takes f7. Not enough, I think. Knight f3. Perhaps. I do have to move this knight. I like playing d5 next with tempo. Wait, this pawn is not defended enough. Annoying. Okay. Let's trade then and play d5. I control once, two, three, 4 times, and then control only 3 times. So I can push. Take back with the pawn. And now bishop g5 is more scary because there's no f6. And then in this case you've played bishop d7, and I don't think I can be scared of this. Okay, you have 2 passed pawns on the queen side. I have just 1 on the d-file. Let's see who has the better. Okay, let's just play d6 and then queen here when they try to trade. Actually, no, bishop b6 is annoying. So let's try queen f3 instead. Still on. Oh, I just dropped the bishop. Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, and this is... dropping your bishop is actually bad. And this is probably just lost. Okay, let's attack this and hopefully panic something. It's unlikely. This should be just simple win for white. A bit fancy. I'm going to just double it. Ah, this is, yeah. That's unfortunate. I think my position was all the way reasonable up until the time I just hung this bishop. Queen d5. Necessary, I think. Actually, no, bishop e6. Okay, so here... maybe that's not working. Maybe this. So that's a threat at the moment. This isn't possible because of the d7 fork. No, this still hangs the bishop. I have to address that threat. This is really annoying to... This gets back ranked. Suppose... we were in the Masters database for this long. That's really funny. I suppose an earlier h4 might have been more appropriate. But for some reason I'm missing the fact that this is attacking this rook. With like some problems with my opponent. Some games for World Champions, of course. I suppose maybe I should have made some earlier decisions a bit faster. And these really are just the top and most common moves. Wow, I have no original thoughts. So I'm sure I considered d5 on far too many moves. Let's look at why it was good here. So I thought e takes d5, and then bishop g5 now. Why is this good? Suppose I just play g6. Rook takes e7. Knight takes d5, yes, okay. That's quite convincing, and then on knight e4 we just take. Have to stop this. Queen h4 is stronger, but this one is. I thought this was winning a piece, but there's discovery at the end. Queen h4 even stronger, that's very, very mean. Sheesh, sheesh. Oh my god. This is so mean. Stockfish really doesn't give any mercy. So I missed a good opportunity to play d5. E takes d5 I think was the only thing I really considered, as this I think is simply quite comfortable. Well, in the fact that it's up a pawn with the intermezzo. So if this does, yeah. So this is an interesting line. And this exchange sacrifice. Not obvious, I think, unless you've had a bit more experience with the Alapin or IQP positions in general. So a missed opportunity there, but we go practically into a different main line. So I'm down to 5 minutes here, even though we've just been playing main moves. That's, on the one hand, nice to know that I've been playing good moves. On the other hand, annoying because I've spent 10 of my few 15 minutes. So here's the first time I make a move which doesn't really agree. In hindsight, h4. And you can not take this on account of, oh god. Oh no. This whole idea of bishop a4 is one that I was completely unaware of. In fact, the main move here being bishop a4. And the idea is, well, here I just have the better placed pieces, or more active pieces. So queen takes d5, and queen e3. What is the idea? Bishop f6, bishop b3, queen d8, suppose, knight e5. What happened here? What's the threat? Let's just check the thing. Is bishop a4 avoiding something from black? This trade? Okay, so looking at black trying to win this pawn. In this case, knight g5. Suppose bishop f8. And the queen slides to h3. Yeah. Still wants the idea of bishop a4. No, this is still good for white. This repositioning, I considered knight g4 later, but This is hard to meet. Wow. Like, if you try bishop f8, knight f6 check, king h8, queen h3. Bishop e7, and then d5. d6. Quite ruthless. So this was still all equal. Rook g3, not really the idea. Rook h3, more sensible. Or doubling the rooks. c4, not at all, I think. I guess this solidity is really just necessary. And this is already a bit unpleasant. I missed this pin. So back to having a chance. The idea of d6 is, well, bishop g5, queen c7. But if, in this case, the queen can't leave that way, and this isn't exactly a square the bishop wants to make use of. Fair. And queen f6. Definitely much more resistance. And here I didn't go into this because of bishop b6. Bishop b3 is a move, but not one I think I can be expected to find with 20 seconds left. Gosh. And in the end, it's okay. More time definitely needed to work out all of these details. And just hanging the bishop, of course, can't be good. Followed by a mate in 1, but how else do you defend? This is still mate. Still mate, not still mate. Giving up the rook for nothing is clearly not going to be a solution. Well, even this was better, because it's not exactly obvious how to win. Well, I would usually just take with the bishop, so there's something wrong with this. So if you go after this time you want the open F file. And yeah, this is close to a bishop endgame. The engine's actually quite happy. Zeros, wow. Giving up chances after that is kind of annoying. Let's have a look at my move times and see if I did a spike anywhere. So bishop c2. Bishop c2 is really not too complicated of a move, so why did I spend so long on it? Oh, because I was calculating d5, yes. So e takes d5, so bishop g5 again, it's still quite likes. So knight b to d7, what's the problem? What is this? Seriously. Completely ridiculous, I think. Just a very random clearance sacrifice. Like, it's hanging in 2 ways. Why am I doing this? I guess it's something I'll have to study more, but it doesn't make any sense to me. Gosh. So, I think I'll be content just playing bishop c2. But not so happy about how long it took for me to find. Knight a6 is the main move because it threatens this while not blocking this bishop. a3 is still good though. Blockading. I do get knight e5 now. Very much hurt by time. Ow. Okay, thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.